Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone, and welcome to Leveraging Virtual Assistant Expertise. My name is Michelle Eisenberg, and I am a program assistant at the NASDAQ Entrepreneurial Center. And for those of you who may not know, the NASDAQ Center is a nonprofit building a better path for entrepreneurs worldwide by improving inclusion, access, and knowledge in entrepreneurship. So as you will see in the chat in a moment, the NASDAQ Center provides programs, resources, and exceptional mentorship to entrepreneurs across all races, industries, and geographies. So definitely make sure to check out those links and resources in the chat. And then just a couple of housekeeping items before we get started. First, let us know where you are dialing in from in the chat. We always love to connect. And second, we are going to open up for a live Q&A at the end of the event. So please make sure to submit your questions for us in that Q&A function at the bottom of your screen throughout the presentation, and we'll try our best to get to all of them. And of course, none of what we do could be possible at the center without all of the amazing support from our sponsors, including NASDAQ, Lehigh University, BMO, Airbnb, KPMG, Wilson Sonsini, Woodruff Sawyer, Microsoft Entrepreneurship for Positive Impact, BPM, and HubSpot for Startups. We are humbled by their contributions and hope you are grateful too. And so before we get started, we always like to launch just a couple polls to step back, see how everyone here is doing today. This first one is going to ask, how are you feeling? Fearful, anxious, surviving, or optimistic? I'll give it just a few moments here. Awesome. Thank you. Thank you. All right. Gonna end this poll, share these results. All right, looks like optimism is in the lead. We always love to see that, but definitely have some feelings of surviving in the audience. Hopefully, some of our conversation today will help with those feelings. So I'm going to stop sharing this poll and launch that second poll. What is keeping you up at night? Finance, sales, marketing, scale, pivot, team, or surviving? And this one tells us just a little bit more about your current needs as an entrepreneur, so we can continue to provide relevant programming and resources to all of you. So give it just a couple more moments. Awesome. We got folks from California, Georgia, Florida, New York. Welcome, welcome, everyone. So great to see you all here. Texas, Nigeria. Awesome. All right, I'm going to end this poll, share these results. All right, it looks like sales coming up in the lead, but needs all across the board. So thank you all for participating. Super helpful. I'm going to stop sharing this poll. And without any further delay, please join me in giving the warmest welcome to our special guest, TaJuanna Taylor, Principal Consultant at Virtual Assist, powered by Bootstrap Dreams. TaJuanna, it is such a pleasure to have you here with us today. I'm super excited for this conversation. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you so much, Michelle. Thank you, Anna. Thank you, NASDAQ Entrepreneurial Center, for this amazing time. We're going to have a good time here. You guys, I want you to know this is truly going to be a fireside chat, okay? We're going to have a conversation. We're all adults here. You are in your businesses and you know exactly why you started them. And this talk today is a conversation to help you be encouraged, help you get inspired, help you to know how to optimize your virtual assistant that you might already be working with as your teammate, as your friend, right? As your support system. And if you're deciding, I can't keep doing this by myself anymore, we're going to talk to you about how you can possibly make this happen for you. And yes, you are more ready for it than you think. So if you're ready for this chat today, as Michelle has already kicked it off, put I'm ready in the chat so we can get this thing started.
Yes, love it. Awesome. So before we jump in, could you maybe just give like 30 seconds on like who you are and the work that you do?
Yes. So again, TaJuanna Taylor. I am in Peachtree City, just about 20 minutes south of Atlanta, Georgia, to give you a landmark on the map. Started the virtual assist powered by Bootstrap Dreams about 3 years ago, right? So I'm a 17-year experience project management professional by trade, certified project PMP, if that means anything to anybody. And through that work with state government and small business, I learned the art and the passion of human centric service and the power of deploying teams to get a whole lot of big things done. And so when I left state government and decided to go into entrepreneurship, I knew one thing for sure. I was going to keep doing project management. That was about it. I knew I needed a lifestyle shift and project management was going to be the pathway. But as a single mom by divorce, I knew I needed to change how I was living and leading my life and make myself available for that gift of motherhood that I had, been provided. And so entrepreneurship came with the struggle. So this isn't me just dropping into your lives out of, oh, everything's wonderful and great and perfect, and I'm a multimillionaire and I don't have any problems. No, that's not what this is about. This is saying the lives that I live and lead right now. And with Camille, you see her on the bottom of the screen. Camille is my dedicated teammate and virtual assistant that has been rocking with me for the last 3 years now. We came to this work through real life. We came to this work, global pandemic. I had a virtual kindergarten, and I finally got to the point to where I say, I cannot keep doing it all myself. There is no way I can be in more than one place at a time. And there are just some things that I don't want to do. There's some things that I'm certainly not good at doing. And so I'm going to get help because that's what we did as employees, right? We
Yeah.
had help. We had bosses, we had teammates, we had, people in all kind of areas and departments doing the things that they do best. Why do we feel like as entrepreneurs that we have to wear all of the hats and then have personal lives too? No, let's unlearn that. And so that's what having a virtual assistant is all about. And by through our work together, people literally started saying to me, "Tawana, how are you doing it all?" And I was like, I'm not. There's no way I can do it all. There's an amazing woman named Camille, and she is helping me do so many things. We co-create together. And they said, well, can you help me find a virtual assistant? And so we did it. And they said, well, can you help me find a virtual assistant? And then they would refer a friend. And before you know it, we have now helped fill over 65 virtual assistant positions. We've received 5 small business grants to sponsor virtual assistants for primarily the solo entrepreneur. And we continue to do business coaching and consulting to help make this possible for others as well. And so we really look forward to continuing this work, helping you do this great work and helping you identify that you're ready to be supported directly in your business as well.
Ah, love it. Awesome. And I know we have so many entrepreneurs in the audience where that's, your story really resonates. They're wearing all the hats. They're the CEO, they're the CMO, they're all of it. And they also have that life outside. They have family, they have friends, they have, other parts of their life that bring them joy. And so it's a lot to manage. And
Yes.
it's exciting to kind of think about, this opportunity that entrepreneurs have to really create more balance within their daily lives as founders. And so, thinking about that as a foundation, what are some of the, common challenges that you see founders facing early on, and in what ways can virtual assistants play a role in directly overcoming those challenges?
Yes. So common challenges. I'm just going to throw them out there really quickly. Burnout. You hear the pause? It happens to the best of us, right? We come from our lives, whatever the walks that there may be, and think, oh, I'm good at this and I'm good at that and I'm good at this. Listen, being an entrepreneur is not about your competency. It's not even about your capability, but it will affect your capacity. Okay. And so burnout is the number one challenge that we run into because we feel like we have to do it all or that we need to do it all, or sometimes we're afraid to release and allow someone else to come in and do the work for us. Visibility and marketing is a common challenge. I love being behind the scenes. this is fun for me. I don't mind these types of talks and conversations, but the posting and all the emails and all the ads and all the other things that can come with entrepreneurship, pick somebody else. I just want to do what I do well, right, Michelle? And so
Absolutely.
a virtual assistant can absolutely come in and help do that and help pull the analytics on that so that you can make data-driven decisions as an entrepreneur and not based on your emotions because people are fickle. They will love you today and not say anything to you about you and or click on you tomorrow, but it doesn't mean you don't have impactful work or service or product that you are providing. Let the data help you make those decisions. Other challenges, technology. Just because you're using a platform doesn't mean you have to be the one working in the platform, clicking all the cogs in the wheel, right? A virtual assistant can help you do that. And so we have had entrepreneurs come to us seeking support in these areas and wanting, to figure out like how can I do what I do well and just focus on that and have the virtual assistant support us. So we've had authors and storytellers, right? They write the book, but then they don't have the book art cover, or they want to figure out how to turn excerpts from their book into maybe worksheets or some type of lead magnet or some type of on-demand course or an evergreen webinar. We've had international church leaders come to us and take old print printouts and old cassette tapes and turn them into ebooks and digital learning platforms and workshops, digital workshops. We have had fitness coaches come to us and say, listen, I'm doing the virtual training or the in-person lessons, but we have people wanting to get on board with us all the time. I need someone to be doing the intake, right? And the invoicing while I am delivering the service. We have had cosmetologists. They might be behind the chair seeking to get out from behind the chair and they want to launch products, doing the research, right? We have nonprofit organizations that need more grants. We have virtual assistants who have done grant research and even fill out the preliminary information in the grant so that the CEO or whatever other executive in that arena can review it and fill in any other information that the VA might not have or shape it up a little bit more and submit for the grant applications. Like, how great would that be to have someone doing the things that must be done, but don't have to be done by you? And that is exactly what teamwork is all about. I like to say, if both of us are doing the exact same thing all the time, unless we are like this major enterprise, one of us is unnecessary.
Right.
Right? Like, get some help doing the work and you'll see. Thank you so much. I'm looking in the chat. I see some familiar names. I see Ashonda and I see Kimberly and I see Dr. Nathan. I see you all out there. These are people who I've had the pleasure of working with either through the Parentpreneur Foundation or they have come to me directly for virtual assistant and they have their own experiences for their business. Many of them are still working with their VAs. It's been 2 or 3 years now. Like Dr. Nathan Culver is a financial specialist. His business has tripled since hiring virtual assistants because he was able to go on more into the business development, whereas, behind, but again, tinkering behind the mechanism of the business and doing some of the cantankerous work that we get stuck doing. So there's no limit really to what a virtual assistant can do for you. So when you think about a challenge, think about what it is, spend less time trying to figure out how you're going to fix it and think about what the challenge is so that you can identify who you might need to help address it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's so important. And I think you gave some really great examples there because it can be difficult for founders to really determine, when they've been so used to, running each aspect of the business to really be like, what exactly do I not need to actually be doing? Like, what can I delegate to somebody else? And
Oh, yes.
like, where is my expertise best, used and to bring somebody else in then to fill that gap is
Mm.
is great. So, but I think it's something that can be challenging for entrepreneurs, especially, early on who have been wearing all the hats is like, the finding a balance between, the need for hands-on involvement, in all aspects of the business versus, delegating those certain tasks to a virtual assistant. So what are your thoughts on kind of just finding a healthy balance there for founders to work with their virtual assistant in that regard?
Yeah, so I like to if I can encourage a different word from balance, because
Yeah.
in life, equal and equitable are not exactly the same, even though they
Sure.
carry the same weight, right? And so instead of trying to find a balance, because the person that does find it, make sure to message me later so I can learn your trick. Because I don't know that there's balance, but there is harmony.
Yeah.
There is harmony, right? Every in music, every note has a chord. And when they play on their chord, we have a beautiful sound.
Oh,
And
I
that's
love
what I
that.
feel the work in entrepreneurship and with a virtual assistant can be. It is a harmony. Again, stop doing all the things that must be done that don't have to be done by you. That's one thing. Recognizing what you don't need to do yourself. Again, it's not can you do it? Yeah, you can do it. It's not are you competent? Yeah, you're competent. You're smart. You're smart, you are strong, you are tough, you are all these things. But your energy doesn't have to be spent doing things that you don't need to do. So when you think about the what would my life be like if I had someone to support me in a way that would allow me to step back from doing things that prevent me from doing the things that I do well and with passion, like the things that come to me easily, the things that I am on fire for doing, the whole reason I launched the business in the first place. What are those things that I feel like suck my time and take me away from getting those other great things accomplished? If you make a list of those things, and listen, I'm not telling you to spend 3 weeks doing this. Just think about the things that you don't like to do. Think about the things that you don't want to do, the things that you don't have to do.
Yeah.
And those are the things that you can begin to delegate with a virtual assistant. People come to me and say, Tawana, I want a virtual assistant like Camille. And I'm like, do you really? Because what that required was for Camille and I to define what our work looked like together. I would tell her, here are all the things I lay out, here are all the things that I've been doing. And based on what I expressed on the position description of what I thought I needed, I said, "What do you think? What do you think, Camille? What of these particular tasks that I say I need help with are you like excited to dive into? Pick two or three. Like let's just start. Let's be reasonable. Let's manage reasonable expectations. Pick two or three." She picked her two or three, and social media was absolutely one of them. That was like the first one. I was like, "Please take social media. I don't want it. I don't want it anymore." And I thank God that she still stays with me because she's still like, to want to send me the video, send me the picture, send me the thing, right? Because I just want to be in the background doing what I like to do.
Right.
She okay. Let's put things in perspective. Okay, I'm going to tell the brief story, Michelle and Anna.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm coming to you live today mm, after a year recovery from a car accident that caused me to have a severe brain injury. This time last year, I was tremoring like a person with Parkinson's disease. I was stuttering and staggering in speech like a person who was suffering a stroke. Being able to talk to you today the way I'm talking to you right now is a sheer miracle. And so many people have no idea that that happened. I see you, Dr. Jam. So many people have no idea that any of that happened because Camille kept the business running on the front facing things. It never shut down, it never shut off. She kept all the social media posts going. Like we pulled back on some stuff, like we didn't email a lot. We didn't have podcasts and do live events. It's literally been a year since hosting an event like this. But the social media people would text me. I'm on bed rest, and people would text me, Tawana, I loved your post today, and I'm like, I don't know what posted today. And it's not that I didn't know, it's that Camille and I had previously talked about what the content was going to be, and I entrusted her to do the work that she can do. So when people come to me and say, Tawana, I want a virtual assistant like Camille, I'm like, but are you willing to trust your virtual assistant to do the work that you brought them in to do? It requires you that harmony means I'm going to do what I do. I'm going to entrust you to do what you do. And then we're going to come together and talk about the results. Right. And then we're going to reiterate and we're going to figure out what we need to start. We're going to figure out what we need to stop. And we're going to figure out how to continue and make the shifts that need to be made. I would not be here on this call with you all today if it weren't for the combined harmonious work that Camille and I have. And if it weren't for the community like the Parentpreneur Foundation right? That kept checking in, calling, texting. My vision was impaired, my mobility was impaired. So many things were not functioning the way you see me talking to you right now. But the support of community allowed me to rest. Sleep and rest are not synonymous. It allowed me to rest so that I can heal and recover. And when the opportunity presented itself, by God's grace, I could say yes and be here on the call with you today. That is the power of virtual assistants. There's so many other stories I can tell you, but I'm like, what better story to tell you than my own story? I'm not selling you a dream. I'm selling you lived, I'm telling you, sharing with you, and I guess it is selling in a way, lived experience of the power of virtual assistants. That harmony is feedback, continuous feedback. How come Camille doesn't need me as much now as she did when she first started working with me? Because the first 30, 60, 90 days, we were in a continuous cycle of feedback. Feedback is words, right? It's a response. If you just give any teammate you have, I don't care whether they are local to you or afar off in a distant land, if you just throw someone the digital keys, thinking you gave them access to your Dropbox, thinking you gave them access to your Google Drive, thinking you gave them access via your LastPass, and that they're going to serve your business and serve your business well, you are absolutely wrong. If you've ever been hired by any employer and they did not give you an onboarding, I'm sure you felt some type of way. Okay? Whether you want to admit it or not, you're like, what did I get myself into? This is crazy. How am I supposed to know everything? I'm not a mind reader. Neither is your virtual assistant, right? And you're not a mind reader of your virtual assistant. Continuous feedback and constructive. I don't like it, it's not constructive. But to say, ooh, that's interesting. Explain to me how you did that and why you did it that way. Oh, and now that opens up a conversation for you to say, okay, let's keep doing that. Let's change that. Markups, screen markups. A lot of Camille's work initially was graphic design because it was social media. It's post, it's aesthetic. She would send it to me. I'd mark it up and send it back, and she'd send me the next proof. And I'm like, oh my gosh, you took it to a whole nother level. This is great. All right, we're for this week. I know what you got going on. This is what I'll be doing. And
Right.
we'll chat in the WhatsApp, right? Allowing allowing one another, encouraging one another, and even holding one another accountable, right? And respecting. This isn't a I'm here and Camille's here. We are here. Our work doesn't exist without the other. We coexist in our work. She needs my feedback. I need her feedback, so that together we produce what you get to experience right now. Right? It matters so much. So when you think about harmony and work, it starts with feedback. That continuous cycle of feedback. The more attention you provide your teammate, virtual assistant or otherwise in the beginning, the less they'll need to pull on you later because they know you. They know your voice and tone. They know what your brand stands for. They know the level of excellence by which you want to function. They just know it because they have worked it. They've learned it and they can anticipate your need. So please, when you think about working with another person here or in another country, Camille is in the Philippines. We've been doing this for 3 years. Time zone, location has not a single time been a hiccup or a cripple. It actually, for me, it kind of feels a little bit like magic because we'll talk about something today and then I'll go to bed tonight and wake up tomorrow morning and it's done.
Right?
So fun, right? And she loves the work that she does. And when she doesn't, she tells me and then we work it out, right? But the beautiful thing is she doesn't get a lot of work that she doesn't like to do because I respect her enough to say, keep doing what you do well. I'm gonna keep doing what I do well. And when the opportunity presents itself, we're gonna grow and find somebody to do the things neither of us want to do.
Right?
because
Exactly.
it's what they like to do, right, Michelle?
Yeah, for sure. Ah, I love this. And so I think you mentioned something, when you were talking about this a little bit earlier, and this aspect of trust that's so
Mhm.
important, and when you're bringing somebody into this role, to really be like, okay, like I know I've been doing all this, but now I'm going to pass it on to you. You kind of have the reins here, and that can be challenging for entrepreneurs. And so kind of thinking about, initially, looking for business, what are some of the key qualities that you think are essential, when looking for a virtual assistant? And in those, initial, weeks, months, how can entrepreneurs really ensure a system of continuous feedback, to ensure alignment with the strategic goals of both you and, the aspirations of your virtual assistant?
Yes, I'm so glad this came up. I was hoping we would touch on this a bit. Behavioral characteristics are so important, in my opinion, if not more important than the hard skill itself. Hard skills can be taught
Sure.
and learned. Charisma, respect, right? Follow through, dignity, those things, you got it or you don't. Or
Yeah.
some type of drastic life-changing event will come in and teach you how to have it, or you'll just be existing. And so, and that's something I learned back in project management, particularly with state government. I was with the largest state government entity in Georgia. We had over 9,500 employees. We had two project management departments, and I was a part of the enterprise project department, which was the smallest of the two project management departments. But we were launched statewide to do all types of initiatives. And so I had the opportunity, whether it was a SaaS, software as a service platform, whether it was developing an app, whether it was revising a website because state legislation came through and said this has to be launched by September 1st, right? I mean, whatever the case may be, turning paper applications for public benefits into an online system, whatever the case may be, it allowed us to work with people, across time zones and countries, across the state, and entrusting that people are going to do different things. And then there were times where we had to hire people on time limited positions to do different things. And people self sabotaged, right? Because they felt like, well, I've been doing this job for XYZ and nobody else can do it. And so I can talk to people how I want to talk to people. No, you can't, right? You can. And another thing it taught me is a lot of times people don't want people on their team who are disgruntled because they feel like those people are just difficult. And maybe they are, but there's a reason that they're difficult. I have found a lot of times those people just have great ideas and they have not ever felt seen or heard. And so I would really lean into what the complaint was labeled as a complaint and actually realize, no, they have a solution. It's just been suppressed and they're frustrated because they're tired of doing double work,
Yeah.
right? So when you think about characteristics, when you think about hiring people, please do not set yourself up to just hire for a hard skill. There are times where that's absolutely necessary and appropriate because you might be on a time crunch. It might cost so much. And so you just need to get it done. And if you can foster relationship, if you can cultivate community, I tell people I'm not necessarily the best project manager in the world. Now I've got some receipts. Right? I've been awarded for leadership and social impact and exemplary service and all that stuff. But I don't think that's what got me the work. That got the result of the work is what I'm trying to say. What got the result of the work is the relationship I had with the people. I could go to an employee and say, "How's that grandbaby?" before I ask for my report. Right? When you care about what people care about, they're not running from you, hiding from you, shutting you out when you come to them. So that relationship matters, and having that those soft skills, excuse me, having those behavioral characteristics at play, right? Can the person integrate well with the team? And then do they have the skills to integrate with whatever systems you're using? The more clear you are about what you need, the more attuned the professional you'll find to work with you. Are they adaptable? Okay, I know I said this today, but we just had this major thing drop
Right.
out of our control, and we've got to move in this direction tomorrow. It's natural for us to be like, really? That's natural. But do we get on board? Right?
Hmm.
Can you and the person or the people that you're working with get on board for the next thing? You know, empathy. If Camille didn't have empathy for me, we wouldn't be on this call today. Right? If sometimes I failed to follow through, I was like, oh yeah, I'm gonna make that video. And then I don't make the video. And she's like, again, we wouldn't be on the call today, right? She cares. She knows this is really hard for TaJuanna. TaJuanna, she's working through her stumbling blocks over this particular thing. So in the meantime, I'm going to keep doing the other things that I know work for us well, right? What's another characteristic? Because I don't want you to be confused about what to look for. Initiative. If you think that I have to get on WhatsApp or in Monday.com or Trello, or we've evolved. We've
Right.
tried Airtable. We've tried them all. We're using Monday.com now, and we're still getting it onboarded. But if you thought I had to get on any of our co-working platforms and inform Camille what she needed to do every day, you're wrong,
Yeah.
right? She is a full professional. Okay. She might have been new to my business, but she had been a working professional for years. Once I took the time to orient Camille to the business and involved her with what needs to be done, then she was able to say, all right, here's what I'm going to be working on this week. Here's my priorities for this week. What do you think, TaJuanna? Does that sound good? And I'm like, yep. And then I'll say, hey, but can you make sure to do this one first? Or, hey, can you make sure that we complete this one by this day so that we can do this? Does that sound reasonable? And she's like, yes or no, or I need more time. And then we keep going. Again, that continuous cycle of feedback, that harmony. It's not a dictatorship,
Right.
right? So these are things that you want to look for, and flexibility, response to change, response to conflict. So many people are afraid of conflict. And when you're working with people, listen, we are the most fickle species created. We we like it today, we hate it tomorrow. We're going to have some things that we're not going to agree on, but we can do so with respect. We can try to understand one another's differences, why, and then depending on the dynamic, we can say, you know what, we just got to do what we have to do, right? And go forward and hope that it doesn't become a consummation of your work, your role, your responsibility. So please lean into soft skills when you think about teaming, when you think about partnering, when you think about strategic alliances, when you think about whatever it is that you want to do to expand your business. Do not rely only on the hard skills. Do incorporate the soft skills.
Love it. Awesome. Yeah, no, I think that's all super great to kind of, for entrepreneurs to use as a guide as they're really looking for the right person to fill
Mhm.
that role. And so, once they kind of have found that person, that they trust and have kind of oriented them within their business and its specific, needs and goals. How can virtual assistant partnership and expertise really, lead to new opportunities for the business or areas of improvement as time goes on and customers preferences evolve and the market evolves and the business itself is growing. How can that virtual assistant really play a role in identifying those new opportunities?
This is another good one. The virtual assistant, when you are okay, just imagine yourself. Like if you just had a moment where you close your eyes, you see yourself in your business, and you said, man, if I had more time to, you fill in the blank, I could do this, I could do that, I could go here, I could be there, I could not be so stressed out about, right? I could not be so frustrated with. The virtual assistant taking on the things that you don't need to do anymore, that you don't actually have to do, creates opportunity for you to explore those avenues, right? So a VA can help you identify unmet needs. Sometimes we are so, what they say, you can't see the forest for the trees.
Yeah.
Sometimes we are so close, right, to the blades of grass that we don't see the lawn.
Yeah.
We don't see the concerts that can happen out there. We don't see the weddings that can happen out there. We don't see the children's parties that can happen out there because we are right here at the blades of grass.
Yep.
Right? We need to come
Yeah.
above that so we can see and get the vision again. Because we had it at one point. We launched our businesses. Whether you're in it full time or part time, you are still doing the thing. Okay.
Yep.
Believe that you are still doing the thing. Everyone starts somewhere. When you have room to see it before you see it, you can identify what else you can do or what else your VA can help launch for you. So identify unmet needs, right? Sit down with the VA and say, hey, this is what we're doing. This is what we've been doing for XYZ weeks, months, years. What can we do differently? And pull those data analytics to find out. Expand skill sets. What is something that you've been wanting to do that you haven't had time to do? What is a class you've been wanting to take, a master class you've been wanting to take or give? You all have a tremendous amount of expertise that someone else needs, but it's here. It's here in your heart. It's here in your head, and no one else knows about it.
Yeah.
You need the time to put that out in the world. Someone is depending on you to do that, right? Treasure hunting. I learned this from Kiana in the Parentpreneur Foundation. She just got a virtual assistant that will treasure hunt for her. What does that mean? She's in media production. She has a YouTube, channel. She wants to feature a certain demographic and more in her production network. So she has a virtual assistant that's doing that online research. They're going out into the YouTube sphere, the YouTube universe, and they are logging. They are cataloging. They are putting in a database the links to these places, the tags they're using, right? The audience demographics, what type of comments they get that they can use to repurpose as content of their own and answer questions.
Yeah.
If she spent all her time doing that, she's not having the meetings with the clients and closing the deals.
Right.
Okay. So when you think about that, you need someone to look out for you, have your best interest at heart, customer interaction. How many of you have customer support? You have a product and maybe an order shipment, something happened to it along the way. We love our delivery people, but sometimes they don't like us, right? We ask too much of them too often. Customer service for your products when something is ordered. You might have a Facebook community or a Mighty Networks community or something in NASDAQ in the chat. You have seen Camille respond to many of you while I'm talking. I want to respond to you too. But if I do that,
Yep.
we won't be able to continue the conversation, right? So there are so many amazing things that a virtual assistant can help you do, enhance your customer interaction. One of my favorite things Camille did for me when we first started working together as well is she launched a welcome packet for me. Now I knew one could exist. I always dreamed of having one, but making the time to do it, nah. It just didn't seem like a priority, right, Michelle? She launched a welcome packet for me, right? And so now when people are onboarded, they receive this beautiful piece that tells them how we'll work together and what next steps may be. She creates our lead magnets. So we have an automated workflow when you come on board with us for your virtual assistant recruitment that we do for you and present to you your top 3 candidates. You get an email that says, here's what we're doing now, here's what we're doing next. And by the way, here's how you can prepare for your VA in the meantime. Here's a checklist.
Right.
Right? Camille does that. Well, I get to look through and pre-screen and dive deep into the recruitment or craft that super specific job description that you like. She's doing something super significant while I'm doing something super significant. And in 30 days or less, you have your super significant person. Right? It's an amazing co-creative effort. Problem solving. There are so many times where I say, Camille, here's the thing. Could you figure it out, please? I have got this, and this to do today. And it's not that she doesn't have other things. She doesn't mind, right? She's happy to help. She knows that if I do this for TaJuanna, it's going to take us to, right? It's going to move us both on to the very next thing. So it's so important for you to recognize that your virtual assistant can help you identify opportunities because they free you up to start envisioning imagining, being creative again in whatever way that means and matters to you is so important. Automation, deploy that in your business wherever possible. There are steps that you absolutely know are going to happen. Go
Mhm.
ahead and craft the email. You send it every time. Why are you writing it from scratch every time? Why are you copying, pasting it every time? Get you a CRM and set up a workflow, right?
Yeah.
And be done with it. Your VAs can help you do that. So it's about the time freedom so that you can be creative to think and envision what it is that you want for yourself, what it is that you want for your business, and they can make suggestions. Your VAs do not have to be taskmasters alone. Your VAs can be consultants to you, strategists for you. Yeah, you're the CEO of your business, you're the founder, you're the owner. You may make the final decision, but it doesn't have to be without input.
Right.
We create our own suffering sometimes.
Absolutely. This has been such a great conversation. So many gems. And we have a bunch of questions coming in live
Yes.
Q&A. So would love to transition. If you are in the audience and you have a question for TaJuanna, please make sure to drop it in there. We'll try to get to as many as possible. So just to start us off, you've talked a lot about your incredible working relationship with Camille, and I
Mhm.
think it's been inspiring for many in the audience. And so, I think we have some wondering, just how did you actually like find her? Like, are the what kind of online resources exist to find virtual assistants, or are there referral networks? What is out there?
Yeah, so there's a ton of things out there, right? And again, YouTube University is there for you, okay?
Hmm.
If you want to do it yourself, you can absolutely do this yourself. We just make it easy for you and we save you that time and that expertise because a lot of people don't want to do the HR stuff. They don't want to do the recruitment. They don't want to do the pre-screening. They don't want to do Here, how did I find Camille? Answer the question point blank. I went online. I will use that online job platform. I wrote the position description, have the capacity to do that. I wrote the position description, y'all. Let me tell you, if you think you can't find a virtual assistant in less than 24 hours, I had 3,200 applicants. I
Oh
was like,
my.
I can't.
Yeah.
I had to shut it down in 2 days because I said, there is no way. There is absolutely no way I'm going to be able to screen all these
Yeah.
people to find my VA. So, how did you get down to Camille? I had an accountability partner at the time, and we came up with a filtering system. Things were very specific and explicit in the position description. So if they did not put the subject line that I asked for, they did not get looked at. If I
Mhm.
opened the email, but they did not acknowledge me, if they didn't take the time to say, hi, TaJuanna, I did not look at them. You know why? Because if you can't do it for me, how am I going to expect you to do it for my customer?
Yep.
Right? So people just weeded themselves out. And so we were able to narrow it down from 3,200 applicants to like 20 and then 10. And then we interviewed six.
Yep.
And Camille was in the top three. And what's funny is the accountability partner that I had at the time didn't even plan on hiring a virtual assistant. She picked a person. I chose Camille. Camille graciously said yes, and we've been rocking ever since.
Love it.
Right?
No, yeah.
And
Yeah.
so you can definitely do it yourself. Go ahead, Michelle.
Yeah, no, I think that's great. And in kind of, that the story that you told in that learning experience of kind of being like, okay, maybe you're worried about finding them, but they'll find you. And then you kind of have to have a system of filtering through that load to really find the right person. So
Mhm.
I think it's great, that you mentioned the accountability partner and lots of great tips and tricks
Lots of
there.
great
So
tips. Yeah, I mean it's an amazing process. And again, I'm very human centric. I believe in people. I'm very passionate about people. Now I'm serious about business. I want it done and I want it done well.
yeah.
Right? Not perfection, but there's a standard that I prefer things to be, and that's why I really like to provide this as a service because again, a lot of founders, especially creative founders, the people that are analytical might have a decent time doing it themselves, but our people who are creative and do mindset work and speaking and all those kinds of creative, I don't sorry for lack of better words, creative things, that is ugh, for them. But it geeks us out. We love it. And so we provide this service to make sure you actually get what you need. Because some people fall into the trap of getting people like them. And then they get no more work done than what they started with. Because again, two of you doing the exact same thing, one of you is unnecessary. You need somebody who's going to complement you. It's kind of like family, relationship, spouse,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
you want someone that's going to complement you. So Camille does things strongly that I do not do well, and I do things strongly that Camille doesn't want to do well, right? And so together we co-create the work. And so we like to be able to, we handle everything for you from we consult you, right? We have a super a super purposed intake process so that we are able to identify exactly what you need, suggest to you your opportunities, because we hear what you haven't said and say, actually, you say you need this, but what you really need, what's really going to get you the momentum is that. We craft a super specific job description with everything from roles and responsibilities to perhaps the time of day. You may or may not have a preference for the VA to work. We do not lean into announcing the rate because that's something that you and your virtual assistant get to determine between you two. Again, virtual assistants are full grown professionals. They have lives that they need to live and lead as well. But what we like about working with the international virtual professional and compared to a domestic professional here in the US is when you're at that early startup stage, it becomes more economical for you to do. And for the VA, because they've had a voice in what their rate will be, they're working for what they feel is appropriate. So where someone else may say, that's all you pay them, the VA has said, this is all I need.
Right.
Right? So you don't have to feel guilty. You don't have to succumb to the pressure of what society says you need to do. There's ways that you can make this possible for you. And we don't function as an agency in the sense that we don't take anything off the top. You hire us as headhunters. We're your recruiters. We're your technical assistants, supporters. The VA gets 100% of what you pay them because you pay them directly. So we love the work because we know what we want here in the US as entrepreneurs, it is providing across the globe for
Mm.
other entrepreneurs and their families as well.
Yeah.
It is just truly amazing, purpose-driven, mission-centric, like holistic work by allowing people to work with you, not just for you, but with you. That is the power of teamwork.
Yeah, love that. Love that. And you brought up so many great points here in terms of just like, finding that right person that you have that harmonious relationship with. And I think you've talked a little bit about this, but we have a couple entrepreneurs just, to dive a little bit deeper into like, how to kind of really assess, your virtual assistant's like desire to grow with the company. And like we talked a lot about that kind of continuous feedback loop and how that might be helpful. But any other thoughts there on kind of just, you know, gr- forming a role and designing a role for that virtual assistant that allows them to grow in meaningful ways with the business.
Yes. So I got a spoiler alert for them, Michelle. It starts with a conversation. Shocker, right? It really does start with remember, when you think about working with your virtual assistant, you're working with another person who wants what you want. They want to be successful. They want work that's meaningful. They want flexibility to do the work. They want to be entrusted to do the work. They want to be compensated to do the work, right? They want to know that the work means something to you
Yeah.
since they're spending their time doing the work. So when you think about growing, the virtual assistant growing with your business, our number one request is long-term VA because that's going to get you the greatest momentum. If you're changing VAs every 3 to 6 weeks, I guess you're just getting database entry. I don't know,
Yeah. Yeah.
because it is the continuous process. It's the compounding effort that allows that business to grow and that has that referral base and feedback to come in. And so you ask the virtual assistant or you allow, you create the culture where your VA can say to you, hey, have you thought about this? Or I've been looking at, or I've taken a class for, or I came across this thing the other day. And what do you think about it?
Yeah.
Right? Like, and ask the VA, I can't count, excuse me. How many times I've said to Camille, hey, Camille, what do you think about doing this? Right? Or are you still interested in doing, I mean, you've been doing this for a little while. Are you still interested in doing that? Or she might say to me, hey, Tawana, my family has something coming up. I'd like to make a little bit more money. How do you feel about me having another client? Who do you need me to write a recommendation for? Who do you need me to get on a call with? Like, what can I do for you?
Yeah.
Right? What can I, until I can do more, bigger, better, stronger, faster, how can I support you? Because her gaining her skills, her increasing in skills, her increasing in finance, her increasing in doesn't take anything away from me. It doesn't take anything away from me. My intent it was never to have Camille work with me to stifle her to only work with me forever. One day Camille is going to supersede her need with my company and she's going to grow and launch either her own enterprise or she's going to find a client that is going to, provide for her something that my company doesn't do because we are what we are or who we are.
Yeah.
So when you think about growing with your business, it really is a conversation of what would you like to do now? What else would you like to do? How do you feel about what you're doing now? What can we do differently? Right? How long would it take? How much would it cost? How would you what would you feel if? I mean, just talk about it. Just talk about it.
Yeah.
and
Totally.
and and, and don't ever assume anything because again we're people and we're constantly evolving, and so I don't ever assume that Camille is okay or that Camille is satisfied or that Camille I trust that she is. I ask her often, what's on your mind? How are things going? Tell me what you think. What do I need to do? Camille, I'm sorry. Right? I didn't send you the thing. I didn't make the video. I'm still grappling with that. Right? We genuinely converse. We converse. And so and the other entrepreneurs who have gotten virtual assistants with us, they talk about that. The relationship that they have with the VA. It's not just work. They become a right-hand friend in their lives because of how much how closely they're working together because your business is like your baby,
Yeah.
right? You're entrusting someone else to nurture and feed and fuel and grow and protect and represent this thing. If your VA isn't doing that for you with you because you haven't allowed them to, and when I say allow, I mean as in you haven't invited them into that space, maybe you
Right.
don't really want to have a team,
Yeah.
right? Maybe you don't really want to have a team. So it's so important for you to think about that continuous work and that continuous effort and to continuously check in and ask the question, how's it going? What can we do? What again, start, stop, go, right? Reiterate. You're never stuck. You always have options. And then I saw someone ask the question about cost, I think. Let me know. And I think I saw someone ask a question about cost.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a couple of people asking about
Yeah.
like
So
pricing and
yeah, I don't want to just avoid that. It,
yeah.
it it genuinely varies, just like here in the US, right? So again, our virtual assistant network, we primarily recruit and source international VAs because we have found our audience to be entrepreneurs who might be bootstrapping, right? Or that are working off limited capital by whatever means, their own discretionary funds or paying clients or people are investing into their company. And
Right.
so what you need may be different from what someone else's needs. So there is no cap. There is no minimum. I say be reasonable because we all have a cost of living.
Yeah.
But your and my cost of living might not be the same as cost of living in the Philippines. We have virtual assistants that represent the Philippines, that represent Belize, that represent Spain, which is funny because she relocated to the US and we actually got to sit across from one another and have dinner. South Africa, all of our virtual assistants, their currency in their location has a different meaning,
Yeah.
right? And so you decide, you have to look at your business and say, what can I afford on a continuous basis?
Hmm.
Right? 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, 12 months, 2 years from now, just with where you are today, what could I afford to pay? How many hours a week? Or is it a project rate? And then from there, we recruit a virtual assistant in your need. in
Yeah.
your capacity. We're not going to refer you somebody that's outside of your capacity.
Yeah.
We refer you to someone who's in your capacity, but that still provides the skill. Their skill set is not related to the compensation. We can't compare those things because our compensation here, we don't always get paid what we deserve. We get paid with what we negotiate,
Yep.
right? And so with the virtual assistants who are overseas and locally and domestically, the pay rate depends on what they are seeking. What matters is what can you offer?
Yeah.
That's what matters. What can you offer? And we find a VA that fits your offer need. Okay. So just to give numbers, I know people want numbers, anything around, $8 US. I have seen $8 US. I have seen as significant as 50, 60 and more
Yeah.
US. It just depends on who you're recruiting and what they have decided their value is based on where they're located,
Mm-hmm.
right? There's no minimum, there's no cap. It depends on their life and what they decide is best. So again, when you hire a virtual assistant through us, you're paying the VA.
Right.
We're your technical assistants. We do the recruiting, we handle everything for you, present you with your candidates. You make a decision on which candidate you want to work with. And once you do that and they onboard with you, you and your VA have already decided what their compensation rate is going to be. And so you can go forward confidently knowing they're going to work with me at this frequency, at this rate. And so you know exactly what and when to pay. And together you build that trust and you keep that great thing going.
Love it. Ah, TaJuanna, this has been such an incredible conversation. So
Thank
many
you.
golden moments. If you had just one key takeaway or piece of wisdom that you wanted to leave with the audience, what would that be?
It's going to be something that I have echoed already. Stop doing all the things that must be done because they don't all have to be done by you. You are so much more ready to grow your team, and you can do so with the power of virtual assistants a lot sooner than you think. And when you're ready, because you are, please come do that with us. We are more than willing and more than happy to serve you, to support you along the way, and make sure that you are able to take the next steps that you need to take in your business. And by doing that, it requires you to free yourself up with the power of virtual assistants. So that's why we are virtual assists powered by Bootstrap Dreams.
Love it. Awesome. TaJuanna, thank you so much for just providing such incredible oversights and an
Thank
amazing
you.
framework for hiring the right virtual assistant for your business. So on behalf of the NASDAQ Entrepreneurial Center and everyone here today, we're just so thankful that you joined us.
Thank you so much.
And to our audience, we would love for you to join us again for upcoming webinars, which you can view using those links that are going to be posted in the chat. And
Mhm.
thank you all so much for joining us today. We look forward